Tina.
He was adopted son of Claudius, son of Agrippina. He was an emperor at 16. Agrippina wanted regency. He was killed his own mother, tried to poison, drown, then just had her executed. Claudius's own son murdered by Nero. He was considered a tyrant. He ordered assassinations of real and imagined enemies. He was a self-proclaimed artist and poet. And in 64 BC, there was a great fire which destroyed over half of Rome. And it supposedly fiddled as Rome burnt. He blamed the fire on Christians and persecuted them. So Pet/Paul, megalomaniac. So he had a 100-foot statue of himself dressed as Apollo. And he committed suicide. He had a companion stab him. And he was the last of the Julio Claudians.
Good. And that dynasty, he was the last in 68. Okay. So I do have here in what we call the eyewitness account. So let's read this. Burning of Rome. This is the famous year, 64 AD, the burning of Rome. Let's read this. Let's have Sarah, please. Sarah, nice and loud for us. It's just only about a page and a little bit. Start us off, Sarah. The burning of Rome.
Yep, for sure. One second. The burning of Rome, 64 AD. During the night of July 18th, 64 AD, fire broke out in the merchant area of the city of Rome. Fanned by summer winds, the flames quickly spread through the dry wooden structures of the imperial city. Soon the fire took on a life of its own, consuming all of it in its path for 6 days and 7 nights. When the conflagration finally ran its course, it left 70% of the city in smoldering ruins. Rumors soon arose, accusing the Emperor Nero of ordering the torturing of the city and standing on the summit of the Palatine, playing his lyre as flames devoured the world around him. These rumors have never been confirmed. In fact, Nero rushed to Rome from his palace in Antium and Zio and ran about the city all that first night without his guards directing efforts to quell the blaze. But the rumors persisted, and the emperor looked for a scapegoat. He found it in the Christians, at the time a rather obscure religious sect with a small following in the city. To appease the masses, Nero literally had his victims fed to the lions during giant spectacles held in the city's remaining amphitheater.
Good. Thank you so much. Sabrina, can you continue, please, for us? Sabrina, would you like to read? No? How about David? Are you interested in reading for us, David? Nice and loud, though. Okay, Dave?
the structure.
And then yep. Thank you so much. So this is called an eyewitness of history, and we're going to be reading a few more of these. The first one being the burning of Rome in 64 AD. Wow. Okay, so that's a lot about Nero. That's a lot about Nero. So if we go back to our PowerPoint, we can actually start with Tiberius in 14 CE. He is really the first emperor after Octavian Augustus, right? From the second triumvirate. Remember, he was successful beating Mark Antony and Cleopatra, and Octavian declares himself the first emperor. And then we get Tiberius. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the emperors, but I will go through the first major dynasty here. So let's get a new reader. Let's maybe get Dina. Dina, who's sitting quietly. Let's get Dina to read about Tiberius.
Augustus' stepson, second emperor of Rome. Dark, vengeful, miserable, a complex individual. Large, powerful man in good health. Commander. Very suspicious of the state, had many killed. Unpopular because he spent little money on public games and the poor. Good economist. Excellent for the first 10 years, but 23 CE became paranoid after the death of his son. Executed many. 52 people for treason.
Keep reading.
1400 Days of Terror. Nephew of Tiberius, son of Germanicus. Also
Sorry to cut you off. I should have said this is Caligula now, between 37 and 41. A short reign. Okay, he's known as Little Boots. Okay, sorry. Start from the beginning.
Okay. 1400 Days of Terror. Nephew of Tiberius, son of Germanicus. Also unpopular, inexperienced, only 24 years old. Mentally unstable. Tried to make his horse a senator. Terrible financially, debt crisis. Murdered by a member of the Praetorian Guards. Insisted on deification and worship outside Rome. Legacy tainted, insanity and excessive cruelty.
Claudius, 41 CE to 54. Claudius, Dina.
Uncle of Caligula, installed by soldiers without Senate approval after the murder of Caligula. Defects: drooled, stuttered, limped, and constantly ill. Accepted Livy's view of republic. Gave full citizenship, which would ultimately upset Senate. Excellent foreign policy. Expanded empire into Britain for 43 CE. Built roads and two major aqueducts. Served poisoned mushrooms by his wife Agrippina. Sir, was there like a mental illness in their family or something?
Well, it's just we don't really know, but these are some of the defects that he had, right? So we're just going with the information that they've given us. So that was Claudius. Again, there's a lot more on these individuals. I've just kind of taken the most important points, right? So served poisonous mushroom by his wife, Agrippina, right? And we learned a lot about Nero. Okay, so we've already read this. Okay, Nero, who was the adopted son of Claudius. Okay, son of Agrippina. And then after Nero, what happens is we have a civil war. in 68 CE. So again, Nero was the last of the Julio-Claudians, okay, the Julio-Claudian dynasty. So now we have a civil war between these four men. I'm not going to ask you to remember these four men. The only one you really need to remember is Vespasian, because he's successful. Okay, Vespasian eventually wins control and consolidates the empire. So here is the winner of the civil war, Vespasian. Okay, that is not him there. Okay, that's not Vespasian. Okay, but let's learn about the new dynasty, and this dynasty is called the Flavian dynasty under Vespasian. And can you keep reading, Dina? You're doing great.
Flavian dynasty restored peace and stability, settled civil wars, stabilized government spending, replenished treasury, built roads. 70 CE, most famous for sacking Jerusalem, destroying the temple, and dispersing the Jews, known as the diaspora.
Good. So in Jewish history, again, 70 AD is a very popular year, okay, or a very historic year, right? That's when Rome sacks Jerusalem, destroys the temple, and we have what's called the dispersion of the Jewish people, or the diaspora. This happens under Vespasian's rule, okay? Okay, and then we have, okay, one more slide for you, Dina. Oh, his son.
Son Titus, known as the light of the world. Son of Vespasian, very popular, extensive building programs in Rome. 80 CE, Coliseum, Flavian Amphitheater. Military leader during assault and destruction of Jerusalem. 79 CE, Vesuvius erupted, destroying Pompeii. Titus provided assistance and emergency aid, donated his own money.
Okay, good. So again, wasn't emperor for a long time, but if you see in just a few years, known for his extensive building programs. Okay, the big one that we just saw, the Colosseum, right? The Colosseum was actually called the Flavian Amphitheater, right, for the Flavian dynasty. Okay, again, it's built under Titus, right? Great military leader. Again, during this time, we have the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in Pompeii, right? That's a famous year, 79. So lots happening in his just a short time, short reign. Here is the Arch of Titus that you would see in Rome. Okay, it's just the one arch right here. Okay. And you can see here, depicted in this arch, you could see this is the diaspora, or the sacking of Jerusalem. So you see images. So this is Titus, 79 CE. Here's a look at Pompeii, which we will get to Pompeii. Destruction left by the volcano. Okay, you know what, Dina? One more, please.
Domitian, 81 CE to 96 CE, younger brother of Titus, known as the Holy Terror, persecuted of Jews and Christians, hated by the Senate, marginalized, economic success, financially sound, censor for life, in charge of conduct and morals, built the temple of Jupiter, Capitoline Hill, murdered by people in his own household, Palace Coup 96 BC. End of Flavian dynasty.
Okay, so you see how it ended for him. Okay, but he was in power for a long time, 81 to 96. Okay, persecuted a lot of Jews and Christians, known as the Holy Terror. Okay. Okay, and now we get to the 5 good emperors, ending with somebody we learned about, Marcus Aurelius, right? Marcus Aurelius was Commodus's father, right, at the beginning of the movie. So between 96 and 180, remember these years, okay? It was what we call a meritocracy, Okay, let me put this down. This is really important. So a meritocracy, which each emperor selected a younger colleague to train as a successor. So it was no longer based on heredity or the son or the eldest son that would eventually take power. It was now a meritocracy. So the emperor would choose somebody younger, okay, somebody who's skilled, somebody who they trusted. So this brings in the 5 good emperors, okay. This resulted in almost a century of stability. So there was Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, Antoninus Pius, and of course the last, Marcus Aurelius. And we saw his son, Commodus, right? And here they are. Who would like to read next on the 5 good emperors? We're moving along here. This is interesting stuff. Adrian, do you want to read for us?
Sure.
All right, Adrian, nice and loud.
Who is this interesting man?
Ooh, who is this? Type it in. Who is this, guys? Somebody famous, right? Niccolo Machiavelli, yes. So he was the one who termed 5 good.
Wait.
Machiavelli.
Machiavelli coined the term 5 good emperors. Meritocracy. Each emperor adopted his successor. The peak. Under the rule of the 5 good emperors, the Roman Empire reached its greatest territorial extent, and the Pax
Romana.
Romana continued.
Roman peace. Pax Romana.
Mm-hmm.
Nerva.
Nerva, first emperor selected by the Senate,
Yeah.
continued Flavian program of road building and building repairs. Begin tradition of adopting the best man, adopting a heir, not blood related,
Yeah.
heir. Adopted Trajan as his successor, died of a stroke.
So this seems like the right way to do it, right? A meritocracy, right? Choosing the best man for the job, right? The best man to lead Rome into the future, right? This really does sound like a great strategy, right? Or a great method. Trajan, please. Trajan.
Trajan, first non-Italian emperor, one of Rome's greatest rulers, extended empire to its greatest extent.
Dacian Wars.
Dacian Wars, kept the Senate informed and waited for their approval. Great admiration. Popular with the public because he greatly increased Rome's wealth through military conquest. Spent large sums on building monuments. Aqueduct. Wait, how do you pronounce that?
An aqueduct.
An aqueducts, temples, and public baths. Died of stroke, buried under the Trajan column of the Forum.
Yeah. Okay, so the first non-Italian, one of Rome's greatest emperors, Trajan. Okay. Military conquest, and building and monuments, okay, throughout the empire. So Trajan, with its peak, right, reached its peak under Trajan. Okay. Here's a look at coins for Trajan's victories. Here's the Trajan column in Rome. Just a beautiful column. Dacian Wars. So Trajan didn't legalize Christianity, but his policies were more liberal and tolerant than emperors before him. And next is another very interesting individual, and this is Hadrian. Okay, his name is Hadrian. And let's get, we'll get a new reader in here. Rongru, are you with us? Rongru? No. Stephanie? Stefania, are you with us, Stephanie? Would you like to read? Layla, would you like to read?
Sure.
Oh, thank you. Hadrian.
So, born in Spain, as a brilliant architect, he built the Hadrian Wall in Britain to contain the barbarians. It was 120 kilometers. Rebuilt the Pantheon, 126 to 128 CE. Each province in Rome received new buildings, aqueducts, etc. Constructed the Castle St. Angelo, a beautiful fortress which still stands in Rome. And he was depressed and died from taking poison.
So brilliant architect, rebuilt the Pantheon and the Castle St. Angelo. When you go to Rome, you'll definitely see this. And he built the Hadrian Wall in Britain. That was a success. The Hadrian Wall. Let's take a look at the Hadrian Wall in Britain. Here's Hadrian's Wall by 122. And later it will be extended by 142 over here. Take a look how far they got. Look at that, getting into Britain. Wow. There's the Pantheon. Castle Sant'Angelo here in Rome. Okay. Oh yeah, this is actually important here. Read, please.
Hadrian renamed the province Syria Palestina in order to destroy the Jewish connection with the region.
He named it Syria Palestina in order to destroy the Jewish connection. So he took away the name Judea. Keep going. From the Talmud, from the Jerusalem Talmud here, in quotes.
The Romans went on killing until a horse was sunk in blood up to its nose. until the blood flowed 40 Roman miles into the sea.
Antoninus Pius. Keep reading.
138 to 161 AD. Throughout the 23 years of his reign, he never went within 500 miles of a legion. His character was just and honest. He was interested in administration, not military. He was left out of military operations. It was conservative economic policy. He supported public works, and his death is associated by many with the end of the Pax Romana.
Good. He didn't really want much to do with the military. Okay. More of an economic individual or economic policy. That's what he was. That's usually his area of expertise. Okay. As an emperor, character was just and honest. Okay. So that's all the way up until 161. And then we learned about Marcus Aurelius. Okay. He was a philosopher. Okay. I'm just going to skip him because we learned about Marcus Aurelius. He was the last of the 5 good emperors. Commodus, his son, right? We learned about him. You see how that was an inaccuracy for the movie. Okay, his actual death, strangled to death in Bath by an athlete. And that was the end of Pax Romana, end of Roman peace. Okay. And from here on, we have an empire in decline. Now, I'm going to stop it here because this is where I'm going to pick up when we learn about the fall of the Roman Empire. Okay, so we will pick up here. Okay. Right. Of course, Diocletian, who splits the empire. We'll learn about him. Constantine the Great. Oh boy, is he important. We'll learn about many more. Okay. Everything you need to know really is here. What you're going to do now is take some notes, and I want you to fill out this package here. Just note taking for each of these men. You don't have to write down all of the notes on the screen, right? But what you think is the most important, what you can take away and remember from each of these men. Okay, if it's 3 or 4 points, 5 or 6, just try to remember certain points, the significance of these men. Okay, it's impossible to remember everything, but try your best to really write down their major accomplishments. Okay, and falls as well. Okay, so if you take a look at the homework, which is taking notes, you just go to classwork, and it's right here, Daily Life in Roman Emperors. Okay, and it's the second part. Okay, this one. Okay, that's all you're doing for me right now is taking notes. Okay, so basically what you have to do for me for today is so these 3 items is basically what you can work on. Okay. Notes, assignment, and CPT. Okay. Questions? Questions for me? Okay. Great job today, guys. I feel like we got through a lot. You can get to work now for the remaining 40 minutes.
Sir,
Yes.
I was wondering what day textbook drop off and pickup was, if you knew.
That's a good question. Let me get back to you. Okay. When I find out more, I will let you guys know.
Awesome, thank you.
I'll let the class know when I hear more about textbook. It'll definitely be before the break, the April break. So yeah, more information to come.
Awesome, thanks.